Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. Today, we are going to be covering privacy, security, AI, business. SillyVille's lame. I might cut it out at the very end. You'll just have to go back and maybe find the live replay to see what was in the SillyVille. Nothing exciting, but I think we're going to cut it out. Unless everybody in the comments here says, put it in, while we're recording this. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on into our news as we are making our way towards the west. So first up in the news, owner of Boonings and Kmart. Yes, Kmart still exists, although not anywhere in North America, at least not in the United States. Not sure. Are they up in Canada still? But this story takes us over to the land down under. The owners of Boonings and Kmart is now in the prescription drug business, and this is actually causing some people to really have some concerns. Doctors and pharmacists are concerned that Westpharma's acquisition of Instascripts could end the notion that health data is sacrosanct. So the problem here is that any of these online websites. First, let's talk briefly about Instascript. They jumped up to popular among the koofiness because everyone's like, terrified of leaving their house, whatever else, for some weird irrational fears. And then, so they're getting prescriptions filled by just talking to a guy on a web camera. It's like, oh, sounds good to me. Okay, I'll make some money off Instascripts. So here you go, And so people were able to get their drugs mail order. Nothing like major, just, it was like, was it 200 or 400, 300, right? Split the average. 300 low-risk drugs they could either pick up from any pharmacist or get delivered directly to their home after just having a very brief teleconference call. Australia put in some laws which would change how this was done because they kind of said, it's a little shady that people are getting prescription drugs from doctors without actually meeting a doctor in person, right? And so they passed some laws about that, and then this raised some concerns. But basically, we have an online company, which is an online medical company using video conferencing technology for the purpose of collecting medical information, sharing it with the doctors, and then providing healthcare. And this raises a few eyebrows, especially when these other two companies, Boonings and Kmart, have made a practice of utilizing a bunch of data for the purpose of marketing and other purposes. Now, even though Instascript, though, they've even said the non-health data that they collect is used for advertising as well. So they are still in the data collection and advertising business. They just allege that their health data is stored in a slightly different place. Now, I did check their website. They are running the full Google Analytics, the new one that can take literally everything. Google Analytics tracking script, the new one, the GA4. This can collect infinite amounts of information about people. That script is on this particular website. This I knew this stuff off the top of my head a few minutes ago. Instascripts. There you go. So they can literally collect everything from that. They know who's logging in. They can pine that down to your addresses. They know full well your demographics. And yes, depending on where and how that is implemented, then that is actually something that they could do inside of their demographics dashboard. So you're not really hiding any health information. Now, they did not host the Facebook or the TikTok pixels, at least on the public facing. And if they did not have them on the public and they did have them on the private, they just need burnt with fire. But I doubt that they're doing that because there has been a lot of concern raised about it. But the problem is that you have an internet-based company that is in the business of collecting a bunch of medical data with pairing up with two companies that are known to collect and harvest and utilize a lot of health data. So this raises a few concerns. So people over there in Australia are like, I don't know, man. Let me wrestle an alligator and think about if this is a good thing or not. So let me know what you think. Is this a good thing or not? This is a tech company that boasts that AI can predict crime with social media policing while fighting Meta in court. This is Voyager Labs. They are doing predictive policing, in other words, Minority Report. They're not doing it by three psychics hanging out in a pool, doped up on drugs. They're actually doing it by going through the social media posts and harvesting all forms of data, and then making predictions utilizing AI about what people might predict what crimes based on the type of social media policy. In other words, yes, stuff that should absolutely be burnt with fire. So this guy here, the article goes off and talking about the case between Meta and them, because Meta blocked this company off of its networks, off its platforms, and they're suing them in court. But Facebook comes down. It's like they created like 55,000 fake accounts on Facebook and Instagram to collect personal data and behavior patterns and infer human behavior to build a comprehensive presence of their targets, which are people that they are alleged going to commit crime. So if you get on their radar for whatever reason, then the predictive policing model is going to say, hey, police, he's going to do such and such a crime, such and such a place. The police show up and they arrest the guy before it happens. Tom Cruise busts in there and does this whole, Mission Impossible type stuff. 17,000 fake accounts after Meta revoked their access and after filing a federal lawsuit. Now, the judge ruled on this and said that, yes, the case can go on. So now we move into discovery. We get to see exactly what Voyager Labs has. But Voyager Labs is basically collecting and harvesting all sorts of data. Now, they say, well, all the data we're collecting is public. Yeah, but it's not all public that you have consent to collect, use, and analyze. But this is why we need very, very deep, comprehensive privacy laws that completely forbids any company from having any data about an individual that they do not want to have out in the public sphere. So that is what they are up to. California hits Google for a $93 million lawsuit over deceptive location data options. So this was a lawsuit filed seeking. The case is already settled. Google settled it for $93 million. This is effectively the same case we saw go down in Texas, which they handed over a bunch of money over there as well. It was about having location data on versus off, and if you click the button that Google would constantly be like, hey, click our button to do blah, blah, blah. Click our button to do blah, blah, blah. It's like MailChimp right now. I have a client that's having me do mailing campaigns. Well, they released this AI editor that is abysmal garbage. I tried it out for the very first time. And now every single time I use it, it's like, set this at your default, maybe later. How about burn this crap with fire? Because it sucks. I'm literally like, it's taking me 3 times longer to do stuff, but they don't give me the option to say, no, this is horrible, stop offering it to me. Now I'm stuck in it because I tested it once. Lord help me. And so now it's nagging me. Well, Google was doing the same thing down here. The particular setting is off by default, but users were repeatedly told they should enhance their Google Map experience with the responses, I'm in, or skip for now. Not burn with fire, don't ever offer this crap to me. But no. Yes, I'm in, or maybe later. Come on, ask me every single time I open this map. Of course, if you did turn it on, then you have turned on the full location data collection that they're alleging that you thought you was off because you explicitly set it off before. And so this is effectively the same thing that Texas sued on and won. And so this one here, California, since it has its own separate privacy laws, the California bill came down and said this. In addition to paying the money, they have to do a number of things. This is that bullet list. They have to show additional information to users when enabling location-related account settings, provide more transparency about location tracking, provide users with detailed information about the location data that Google collects, and how it is used to the Location Technologies webpage, disclose to users that their location information may be used for ads personalization, disclose to users before using location history data to build an ad targeting profiles, and obtain a review by Google's internal privacy working group, and document approval for all materials changed. So there's a number of things that must be done, and that's maybe a good thing. Who knows? And on to our last story in privacy. Wyze home cameras temporarily showing other people's security feeds. So you have a Wyze camera set up. You're like, I can see my home. You log into your camera and you're seeing somebody else's dog in someone else's house and one person and someone else's naked person walking around the bedroom. Yikes. So this has to do with they had an error on their website about caching. So if there's an error on the website where you log into your website and there's a caching problem, this actually means that data is way leakier than this article or the company is hypothesizing. Something is happening that is literally taking someone else's camera feeds and caching it on a web server that any other random person that logs in can see that data. And one person listed it. It's like, okay. And then another person claimed to see the eggplants in full view. And then there's no other ways around it. But a lot of people just started to make similar claims. So they took the situation. They took the website down. They said the situation was live for about 30 minutes. Roughly 10 users had their cameras visible online. No detailed information with regards to the specifics, but basically it's dealing with websites being cached. They took the site down for a while. They did some investigation and all fixed, and we didn't really get any information. So yes, it's possible if you're using Wyze cameras or any of these cameras that are individual cameras tied to one server on somebody else's cloud, other people have access to your data. Stop pretending they don't, and stop giving all of the security of your home, your whole home layouts, and all the things and activities going on in your home. Stop giving out to other companies. Really, stop. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Say we are highlighting A2 Hosting. A2 Hosting is a great place if you want to host a couple of websites up there. You can use our affiliate code TLM.li/A2H. They have good prices for their systems, except don't do this most popular WordPress hosting. WordPress dedicated hosting sucks. Do the shared hosting, install WordPress with the Fantastico script that comes with it. Do yourself a favor and manage your site properly, or just don't use WordPress. That's a better idea. They have VPS hosting. They have some dedicated hosting, and they have a number of other packages. My favorite thing is anytime I ever had to deal with them, you call them up on the phone and you actually get a human being. It's great. I had no issues with them when I was working with them for a number of years. The only reason I stopped is because I started running all of my servers up on Linode buckets instead, which was a little bit cheaper, although I had to do a little bit more manual management myself. But you can check out A2 Hosting if you need a website, tlm.li/A2H, and that will help support the channel. With that, let's move on over to security news. First up in security news, some top universities would not pass the cybersecurity exam. They left tons of websites vulnerable, all sorts of issues, and most of it just tying to not updating software in an appropriate amount of time. So Cyber News research team scrutinized 20 websites with millions of monthly visitors. This was from all around the world, and what they found is 6 universities were ranked in the top 100 list, 13 in the top 1,000 list. Levels of security was not necessarily linked to the university's size or significance, as both small and large universities displayed similar vulnerabilities. While the findings didn't include any unprotected database or vulnerabilities more than 1 year old, some universities were late to apply security updates. Researchers also found several critical vulnerabilities and very sensitive credentials being leaked. So, yeah, it was a pretty big case that universities are not securing their sites well. I don't know if they're using their freshman students to manage their websites or if they just are completely not up with cybersecurity. And being a former college professor and somebody that did a lot of work in a couple of different fields, I wouldn't be surprised with either one of them. I do remember when I quit being a professor to start my own web design company, the person who ran the web development certification for the college would call me regularly to ask questions. Frightening, because I didn't have any degrees in that kind of stuff. And she was the professor teaching it. So nice lady, but It's not a criticism of that. It's just how schools work. It just works too slow. You're better off hanging out on the internet and figuring out how things work. Hanging out on a Discord server, you're going to learn a whole lot more than you will going to a college campus for computer security. All right, Malwarebytes reports Microsoft Teams is now used to deliver the Darkgate loader malware. This is becoming a bigger problem within Microsoft Teams, where so many pieces of malware are distributing throughout team protocols. It's come to the point where in many cases, the administrators of the whole Teams network has to go in there and literally blacklist every domain and simply exclusively whitelist the ones that they would like to push through. And then hope you don't get a breach like we had yesterday, which was a legitimate site with a hacked WordPress website. Whoops. That was fun. Have a look at that site. Malware blocked this due to rubbers, apparently. I don't know. Due to the Trojan. All right, so learn about the Trojan. If you don't want to block this website, you can exclude it from the website protection. Yes, I would like to invite this thing in. So anyway, malware spreading on Teams. That's kind of your footnote on that one. And hackers claim that it only took 10-minute phone call to shut down MGM resorts. This is dealing with social media hacks where the ransomware gangs are getting into the social media engineering. And in this case, what they did is they just went onto LinkedIn, they found some employee, and then they called the help desk pretending to be said employee, being like, we need to get in, all this kind of stuff, and had all the right information that was available on LinkedIn. And once that was happened to occur, then they were able to get in there, seize control of some critical infrastructure, and shut down MGM Resorts. So they shut down the one owned by MGM Resorts on Las Vegas Strip as of Wednesday morning. The resort still shows signs of its experiencing downtime, like continued website disruptions, and it has not responded to comment, but said on Tuesday, our resorts, including dining, entertainment, and gaming, are currently operational. Except if you land on the website, they're going to tell you to go to Ticketmaster for information. Yeah. They just have a deal. Hey, Ticketmaster, why don't you handle it? And then we'll all split like the 5 times what the cost is. Whatever else. So social media hacks, just be aware if you run a company, just be extremely aware. And I remember having a case. I have a lot of different clients. And I do some subcontracting for a group that does a lot of oil field project work. So I had a company that in the oil field tangent business, and the son of the founder at one point in time was doing work, and I didn't work with him for almost 10 years. And then he calls me up out of the blue, like last year, and with, hey, I need some access to this. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll get that. And I started thinking about it. Dude, I have not worked with this guy directly in a long time. So I get a hold of the guy who manages all their IT stuff, say, hey, the owner's son contacted me. Is this legit? It's like, oh yeah. We brought him back on to do some stuff and give him all the access he wants. Like, all right, great. But you gotta be careful, It's like, that's what's going on here. And on to our last article in our security news is we talked in the past about GitHub repojacking, and I thought they had solved this, but apparently every single time GitHub tries to solve this repojacking, some other new way to figure it out pops up. So repojacking is back. Isn't that wonderful? So, of course, repojacking is a summary. If you missed the video from, I forget how long ago we talked about it, in GitHub, when you change your username, it redirects your old account calls to your new username with the account project. Well, a hacker could get in there, create a new account with your old name, and then create a new project with the exact same thing and start distributing malware. Usually what they would do is they would download a copy of the legitimate, and then they would upload the legitimate with some malware embedded, so everything still works. So this is a really good supply chain breach. So GitHub fixed a few different things. Well, there's a new way to get around it, and they said more than 4,000 code packages could have been exposed with this new methodology. It actually deals with utilizing a script that does a username swap in, I think it's 1/100 of a second, or it's 1/10 of a second. I forget. It's 1/10 of a second. And so what they're going to do here now, first and foremost, GitHub will protect any repository that is cloned more than 100 times. They are considered retired and cannot be used by other people. But there's a lot of software that's still used in supply chains that doesn't have that many clones. And so that's the first thing these guys are looking at. And then what they're doing is they can look at the retirement, but you can still weasel your way in there with a script. Was this one? I think the script might have been on the other one. I read a few articles on this one. So the idea is that you run a script, which you can run a script to do these changes. And if you run a script with a 1/10 of a second timeout in the midst of changing the script, you can still get in there and grab the account before it's retired. And this allows you to get in there, and they actually did a proof of concept to demonstrate this works. So now they've got a 5th way to do repojacking that they're fighting with. They've solved the other 4 ways. They'll probably get away around with this one, but just be aware that repojacking is a thing. So definitely pay attention to those projects you're using and make sure that all of the stuff kind of stays exactly where it should be. Well, if you want to help support the channel, right now we are highlighting, instead of an affiliate, my science fiction novel. So I wrote a novel called Synaptergy. It is a family-friendly science fiction novel. And you can come over here. You can read the first chapter. And you can also come down here. You can listen to the first 5 minutes of the book. And then you can actually click on the link over here and see where you can get it. I don't have a place to sell it directly on my site at this time. But we do have a number of different places where you can pick up the book. Of course, if you do like my science fiction work, you can always sign up on one of our 4 supporter platforms, and we are doing short stories, science fiction short stories, once a month, print book and audiobook versions. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to compile all those stories into a print book. And the higher level tiers on the supporter networks will get a free copy if they choose to. And anybody else can simply purchase that later on. And by the time that comes out, I'll have the store back up to buy Synaptergy. But you can check it out wherever you buy books online. You can get yourself a copy of Synaptergy. All right, now let's go head on over to see what is up in AI news. Those artificial intelligence guys. Well, first up, Microsoft Edge is introducing a new AI-generated writing feature that makes me nervous, is what this guy says. Microsoft continues to jam AI into all of its projects. So the idea here is that you're doing something online and then the chatbot's like, hey, I can rewrite this for you. Hey, I can plagiarize somebody else's work for you. Once again, that stupid MailChimp crap has this garbage embedded. We've fine-tuned the newsletter that we have. We're pasting in the newsletter. We're working on formatting. Would you like us to rewrite it? No, we've got it covered. Thank you, you moron. And I don't see a way to turn it off because they keep on giving me the, yes, I want to use this garbage now, or ask me next time 15 times I log in. So yes, the world is coming and being annoying. So there you have it. Microsoft Edge could drastically change the way we interact with written content on the web. New AI writing feature copies existing content and regurgitates the information in a more personal tone with a click of a button. Now, this is basically you can give it some text and it's going to rewrite it. It's not going to necessarily generate the text. It's going to rewrite it in certain tones. You can say, take this blob of text that I wrote in the language of idiocracy and rewrite this as professional or casual or enthusiastic or informational. So, you know, they can be like, funny, and then it'll, they'll turn to whom it may concern, blah, 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 So that's kind of it. And maybe we do need this. We do need this to begin communicating in regular English anymore. I don't know. Yikes. I gotta say. It's not all bad, is it? I don't mean to harp about the doom and gloom aspects, and I do like his point here. The problem is that while these can have positives, the problem is the negatives always vastly outweigh the positives. Ravi Zacharias used to say that improved technology gives us an improved means to reach our own deteriorating ends. We figured out atomic power. The first thing we did is drop a bomb on a couple cities in Japan. Okay? We don't really want the AI bomb, okay? Really. Come on. The Pentagon is looking to develop a fleet of AI drone systems to combat China. So China's already working on this. Of course, the United States has been doing some as well. Some states like, why would you bother having fireworks? We can do cute drone light shows for you. No, because the booms and the bangs were actually part of the history, that the celebration that we actually won the war. It's not just about having a barbecue and watching pretty lights in the sky. It's about the explosions to signify that we won the war. Okay. But in this case here, of course, China's been doing this for a lot more. They probably have things a little bit better. We have covered in the past the drone armies and be like, hey, this is the target. And then the drones will deploy through the woods, going around everything, swarming the target, all sorts of weird stuff. Well, the Pentagon is now looking to do similar things so that when the Chinese drones come attacking, we have our own swarm. It'll be kind of like the Zerg battling the Zerg on StarCraft. I don't know. And then if they fly over Colorado, Paul! It's going to be great. So anyway, that's what the Pentagon's up to. That's exciting. And Amazon is encouraging sellers to use AI-generated product listings. Oh, great. That's all we need. AI-generated product listings. I just said it's going to streamline the scammers and the garbage sellers to get their crap on the internet faster. How wonderful. They have a new AI tool that generates product listings for sellers. The feature uses large language model trained on large amounts of data. Quote, large amounts of data. Great. To make it faster and simpler for vendors to describe their products. Probably the next time I go to publish a book, I'm going to be offered this nonsense. I might just click the button and see what it does. They do say that most people tested out and said, oh man, this was great, and used it without changing anything. That's because they were lazy, Amazon. It wasn't like they didn't read it. You gave them the option to say, oh, and you still need to write that 50-word essay for the product description. Oh, what's this button? Cool, 50 words. Let's go. Let's run with it. Okay, that's what they did. Amazon, they didn't push the button and then spend their diligent time reading this thing thoroughly and go, wow, that's perfect. No, they were lazy. They pushed the button for the AI. It didn't look like it had any insert object variables here, like the high school sports where the AI articles were saying there was great excitement from enter team mascot here. Okay. That's all that happened. It was laziness, and these people are just trying to get the crap out, okay? They're not sitting here like, we need to have the best high-tech, best sales page ever. This is Amazon. They're just trying to sell their crap, okay? And you're just expediting that. So there you have it. That's exciting. And a driverless car company is using chatbots to make its vehicles smarter. That's all we need, driving Miss AI, right? Would you rather drive Miss Daisy or drive Miss AI? So in here, the Wave cameras can, the Wave employees can interrogate the vehicles, asking them questions about their driving decisions and getting answers back. So, they're calling this Lingo 1. So the company combined its existing self-driving software with a large language model, creating a hybrid model it calls Lingo 1. This syncs up video and driving data, the actions that the cars take second by second, with the natural language descriptions that capture what the car sees and does. The UK-based firm has a string of breakthroughs in this. Basically, they can say, hey, what's the weather like? The weather is cloudy, Dave. What houses do you see? There's a school on the left that like to run over the children, Dave. Why did you stop? Because the traffic light is red, Dave. Like my eye, Dave. So we saw some remarkable things come up, they said. I would never have thought to ask something about like this. How many stories is the building on the right? 3 stories, Dave. All right, so basically they're utilizing this to make better driving decisions as they're actually monitoring the cars. If only they could, cause the cars to get out of the way of the ambulances, that'd be great. Apparently somebody in I think it was San Francisco, the ambulance was trying to get through, and 2 of the cruise cars stopped side by side, and there was police behind them, so they didn't move. And there's somebody in the ambulance, and the person did eventually end up dying. I don't know if it was the car blocked their way or not, but If you want to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribestar page, subscribestar.com/switched-to-Linux. You can jump on over there, help support the channel. We do have the science fiction short stories that are going out. We just released the latest one today. It is totally awesome. And you can get the audiobook or the print version, and it's 4,000 words. Excellent story about the possible implications of AI. You can get that article by subscribing over on subscribestar.com/SwitchedToLinux or any of our other supporter platforms. Well, let's head on over to business news. First up in business news, they have listened to our protests. Chromebooks will now get updates for 10 years. Some of the ones that you could buy that have been expired are on the list to get new upgrades. Some of them are not. There is a list. All Chromebooks that will, in the future, always have the 10-year support, but some of them will have 10-year support. Some of them will not. It does say here, a company said users with Chromebooks released in 2021 will get 10 years automatic updates starting in 2024. I have no idea what that sentence means. If you can explain it to me like I'm either a 3-year-old or, never mind. I heard a fun meme, but I can't really say it over here. If you have a Chromebook that was released before, which is already in use, you will have the option to extend up to 10 years. But it's apparently not all of them. They have a list. They will list its support page to let you check which date. So if you do have a Chromebook that was recently expired, you might have a couple more years out of it. So that is in response to us making a lot of noise. So we always have to make a lot of noise. I mean, come on. We can tank certain beer companies. We can make department stores think twice, and we can get Google to provide more updates. All we need to do is talk about it. All right. California bill to ban driverless autonomous trucks goes to Newsom's desk. So the idea here is that people are saying, hey, maybe we should not have, 30 or so ton vehicles without drivers meandering through the streets. So the California House had 36 votes in favor and 2 against the bill, which would ban these trucks because, I don't know, call me crazy, but I would rather trust the truck driver to drive the 30 tons of stuff on the road than the robot to drive the 20 tons of truck on the road. Okay. Because they might have like a per capita, not as many. And I love it. They don't even report per capita. Like, we've had 0 problems. Yeah. I've never bumped into a truck, into a self-driving truck, but I've bumped into at least 5 or so 100 trucks a day. Okay. Very few of them have caused serious problems. So if we were to replace all those with robots, trust me, we'd be having duel type situations going on. In fact, why is this not in the, why is the movie Duel not in there? Come on, it's just a robot truck. It's got it out for that little car. It's going to take that thing out. Come on, man. Now, despite the state overwhelmingly saying, we definitely want this bill to be signed, Gavin Newsom is actually hostile toward this bill, as are his best friends and advisors, as is the DMV, all basically citing that, come on, this is going to stifle innovation, which it really doesn't, because the bill just says that if you have a driverless truck, you have to have a safety driver in it. It doesn't say you can't have driverless trucks. It just says your driverless trucks have to have safety advisors in them. Now, that raises more problems. It's the same situation in Tucson, I think it was Tucson, where the safety driver was watching TV and the car went thump, thump, thump all over the poor person on the road. The problem is that if you have a person in the vehicle and not engaged, they're more likely to let not intervene when the robot does make an error because they're not attentive, versus the driver who is attentively driving is less likely to make a mistake. And that is certainly the problem with this bill, is that for sure, while every truck might have a safety driver that is the entity that is legally culpable for any mistake, the problem is that giving them a job of just, sitting there and to take over if the robot makes a mistake is going to be for a really, really horrible job. So overall, I do support the bill because I do not want self-driving trucks that weigh tons and tons and tons. Like you realize if a truck hits a car, it is aluminum foil. The car is completely rips apart. All right. We do not need self-driving trucks in the vicinity of little pieces of tinfoil roaming around the interstates, especially when we have not sat down and figured out the legal culpability of who is actually the one liable when one of these vehicles mistakes and kills somebody. Who is the legal entity? Until we can have that answer, the answer to that question fully established without question, we don't need to have any of these self-driving vehicles on the road. We need to get them all off the road. They've been causing nothing but problem in San Francisco, I'll tell you that. Apple is being forced to make a switch to USB-C, and so they're sitting here going, oh yeah, fine, we'll switch to USB-C, and we're going to make it the crappiest experience possible. This is the nuts. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to repeat the arguments. I think the things going on with USB-C right now is out of sheer idiocracy. We are going to see massive outbursts of fires coming out soon because we are now producing USB-C cables with the exact same form factor that fits in everything. But now we're making them of different wattages. So it's theoretically possible for you to plug in a USB-C cable with an over wattage to a device that doesn't have the control, and it will cause a fire. It will absolutely cause fires. It will cause batteries to burst. It will cause a lot of property damage. It will cause some deaths. All because we are so stupid. We have to have one unified port for everything. Never mind the fact that every one of these unified ports has to push different power, different data, and serve different functions. Okay. Is it all that hard to look at a port and go, oh, this one goes here? Like, okay, I would hope, unfortunately, I know this isn't true. I would hope a person can get a device and figure out, like, this port goes into this cable. It's the same thing that, like, that little toy you gave to your 3-year-olds, right? With all the shapes. Was it maybe 2-year-olds? You put the shapes on it and they got to drop the shape and the little thing. Okay, that is computer ports. I literally, like, I had somebody call me up like, hey, I like know nothing about computers. Can you set a computer up? It's like, sure. Easiest $100 I ever made. I just went over there and you just plug the cables into the ports that they fit into. They fit into, okay? Like, you're not fitting a VGA cable into a print cable. You're not fitting a VGA cable into an HDMI. You're not fitting an HDMI into USB-C. You're not fitting a lightning cable into USB-C. They just don't fit. They don't look like they fit. You can attempt to put it in, oh, whoops, wrong port. But no, we have turned into a society of blithering idiots who has to have every single port the same, despite the fact they all have different power ratings, different data ratings, and all this kind of stuff. Enter Apple. So the iPhone 15 has a USB-C port that only supports USB 2 protocol, which is extremely slow data portions. Now, if you go with the iPhone 15 Pro, you'll get USB-C port that supports USB 3 protocols up to 20 times faster than the USB-C on the iPhone 15. You get the iPhone Pro 15 Pro Max. You have USB 3 for 20 times faster than the original transfers. Now, of course, the problem is that these phones are now taking a 20-watt cable, whereas the same exact port, it's a 60-watt cable, where it's the same exact port on a typical phone, 15, 20. So if you try and take a cable that will otherwise fit into every device you're plugging it into that's only rated for 20 watts, and you run 60 watts through it, you're going to cause a fire. This is why if you look at the wiring in my van down here, on the wiring that goes from my lithium batteries to my inverter that may pull at times into the 20 amps of power, I need really thick wires, because if I put really thin ones, they would vaporize in the amount of data being transferred. It's electricity transferred, but that's the point. We are creating massive hazards because we are too stupid to figure out, oh, this port goes with this plug. This port goes with this plug. No, now we're getting 60-watt cables that look the exact same as the 20-watt cables. They might say 60-watt in fine print that half the population can't read because they put light gray text onto the white cable, because how dare you mess up the aesthetic of our beautiful, sleek, white stuff in our cables. Maybe we should check if Apple's racist. I don't know. They'll fit. They'll just cause you problems. So, yeah, you can get the 1 meter double-sided 20, the 2 meter option for 30. The 1 meter cable can deliver charging speeds up to 60 watts, while the 2 meter cable can handle 240 watts. That's plenty given all versions of iPhones top out with 27 watt charging, but both cables don't support data transfers to 480 Mbps. More annoyingly, Apple does not offer specs for which wire comes with which iPhone, so you don't know which one to buy. This is not the spirit of the law that the EU passed. Maybe this should have been our SillyVille. I don't know. And in our final article here for the night, Microsoft will stop accepting third-party print drivers in Windows. I support this. I think this is Windows doing a good thing. The reason why is because it stops the Wild West of having 167 bajillion print drivers to choose from when you are trying to establish your printer. And if you ever notice this, you go in to select your printers, Linux, whatever else. I am not sure that many printers has ever been developed. I literally think these driver companies are just releasing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of drivers for models that they thought about producing but never have. I cannot imagine if you were to go through the list, like just pull up a simple list of just one manufacturer, you'll find 1,000 printers in that. Has that company really printed 1,000 drivers? But what Microsoft is saying is, hey, if you have an old printer up to this point in time, and there's third-party printers, fine, we'll deal with those. But every single printer to work with Windows, it has to support the, is it MOPRIA or IPP support? So Windows is now pushing universal print driver support. Praise the Lord. I am completely behind this movement. It's only going to make things easier for us in Linux. I just dream of a day that we could just go to the store, not research if the printer we're about to buy works with Linux. We can just go to the store, we can bring it home, because Windows has standardized print drivers. All print drivers are universal. And so you just need to install the print driver. The print driver, and every printer in the universe will work. Wouldn't that be totally awesome? So Windows is actually doing something amazing here. Why couldn't they have done this 20 years ago? Really, Windows, come on. All right. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. We are highlighting today DigitalOcean. You can use my affiliate code there, tlm.li/DOH. Gives you $200 credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up a bunch of little droplets, and you can play with all sorts of fun cloud server stuff. You got your Nextclouds, you got your servers, you got your Restream servers, all sorts of fun stuff, all sorts of things that you can do with inside of DigitalOcean. And with that, we're going to wrap this show up here. No SillyVille tonight. I just didn't find enough really good SillyVille stuff to necessitate a tech-based SillyVille show. Hopefully that will be back again next week, but thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for watching this video from SwitchedToLinux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.